say goodbye
Yeah,
to your
Ron,
lobbyist,
yeah.
my former friend.
He's not your friend anymore?
Yeah, he was still my friend. I was there.
I just was trying to understand what you were saying. No, I was supposed to go to that and I just got waylaid with something.
It's really a pain when you have to go. Yeah, it's not that far, but still, it seems like an hour and a half, an hour.
It's 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's 3 hours.
You guys ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Chris Beitler, and we're about to open the meeting of the Joint Public Agency of the West Haymarket JPA. Tim Clare, Carl Eskridge are my partners in crime here. And I want to be sure everybody knows that the open meetings law is in the back. Does it meet with your approval, Chris? The posting of the open meetings law? Okay.
Pay attention.
And would also like everybody to know that public comment is certainly welcome at these meetings. We do have a time limit of 5 minutes per individual on specific items listed on the agenda, and all we ask is that folks identify themselves for the record when they come forward. The third item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the JPA meeting held May 18th, 2017. Is there approval of the minutes?
So move. Second.
Been moved and seconded that the minutes be approved. Call the roll.
Claire,
Yes.
Beitler,
Yes,
Eskridge.
Yes.
they are approved. Agenda item number 4 is approval of the May and June 2017 payment registers. And our city fiscal guy, Brandon Kaufman, is going to take us through that.
All right, good afternoon. So you have 2 months of registers before you. You have May and June 2017. So first I'll start on the May register. For May, we had total operating expenditures of $263,409.88. Total capital expenditures of $7,725. Within the operating budget expenses, there was $82,842.87 for arena maintenance as part of the $360,000 that's budgeted. As part of that, $56,000 went to technology upgrades in the Cottonwood Room. The $4,200 went to Pinnacle Bank sign repair. There was a lighting repair of $8,900, and then about $13,000 for food and beverage equipment. In addition, the other large payment on the May register was $173,757 for the District Energy Corporation for the April bill, and then a large portion of that will be billed back. As far as payments in the capital budget, that was for PC Sports, for coordination and project management. The June 2017 register had a total of $9,403,170.75 in operating expenditures. The June total was for capital was $19,826.80, which was primarily for environmental monitoring and project management. The operating budget, and I'll highlight some of the payments in there for the June 2017 register. We had the annual payment for the settlement with the UNL. That payment to them was $3,541.05. The bond and interest payment for Series 2010 A, B, C, Series 2011, Series 2013 was approximately $8.1 million. We paid UNL $85,015 for women's basketball tickets. We also distributed the $150,000 increment for the fourth quarter for the operating increment. And in addition, distributed $265,302 for the IMG sponsorship. That's a fourth quarter payment as well. We had another $180,020 for UNL basketball men's tickets. And then we paid not only the April, but also the May parking garage management. And I think I mentioned in the capital budget, there's environmental cleanup and management, or project management contract payments.
Questions of Brandon?
Some monies have been, we got monies going out. Where are we standing with our operating, our occupation tax
Okay.
and budget in relation to where we had forecasted to be when we first started this process?
So within the forecast, we've got a 2% increase built in for occupation tax. Year to date, we're at 2.78, so we're above. We're not at the 6 and 7% that we've seen in prior years. We've seen that dip down, but we're currently standing at 2.78.
Additional questions? Brandon, thank you. Is there public comment on this item?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs of Lincoln Government. So you're saying that 207, the balance for occupation tax up until from the fiscal year or from January or?
I think we're saying for the calendar year, year to date, occupation tax is up 2.78%.
Okay. Up 2.7. And what's the balance?
Sorry, that would be for the fiscal year, not the calendar year.
Okay.
Total occupation tax for the fiscal year is $13,676,418.89.
Okay, so that's actually what's in
Mhm.
the bank.
Yep.
And it looks like this energy DEC is running 175,000 or so every month. Is that right?
That is correct.
Why is that so high?
I think that's been fairly consistent month to month. Those are the bills not only for the arena, but for the whole JPA area. And then we bill those back out to the customers.
So how much of that is net?
I don't have that figure off the top of my head, but we could send that to you.
Okay. And, let's see. So let's see, that's the, so anywhere in here is it support for the arena?
I believe in the June 2017 register, there's a $150,000 payment for as part of the operating increment. That
What is it, does that run about that every month,
no, that's a quarterly payment.
quarter? So there would be 4 times that,
Yeah, 600,000.
600.
Mm-hmm.
Is that from the original loan, or is that just general?
That's not. I don't believe that's from the original loan. I think that's a budgeted item of 600,000.
thousand for city staff. That's for looks like 5 months or 3 months, I guess.
And that's for city staff support from basically the finance department and
Is that
legal.
also quarterly or like 2 months?
7 pay periods, 14 weeks.
Did you hear that? 7 pay periods
Okay.
for 14 weeks.
So on debt service, it's 6, 7, 8 million or so.
That's correct. Is
It's
about
for
as for interest payments.
yeah, okay,
Mhm.
interest. And what will it be if you pay the principal in 4 years?
I don't have that figure right now, but I can send that to you.
Is that pretty consistent, or does it decline,
I mean, the interest payments will decline over time once we start making principal payments.
or,
But
so next time you pay that, it'll be lower than this?
probably not, because we're not making any principal payments currently. I think the
Okay.
first payment's either 2020 or 2021,
So that'll be, this amount, about this amount, the next time the interest comes due.
or a little bit higher.
Oh, higher.
I'd have to
okay.
check that.
It's 5 minutes.
So you would, time, did you say? Okay.
Thank you very much, Jane. Or do you have a question, Tim?
Brandon, one more question. About a year ago, you weren't here. We were talking about the amount paid to city staff for accounting, legal, purchase department, I believe. And in the past, obviously, they'd earned their keep, so to speak, because they did just an extraordinary amount of work. That time has come down, obviously, and what they're doing has come down. So a year ago, we were talking about running some numbers to try to get more consistency and more actual figures for what we pay, what we're actually paying Chris and Rick to do, and same with accounting and purchasing. Have we gotten anywhere with those figures? Do we know? Because I think from the city standpoint, it's not fair to the city if what the JPA is paying is substantially less than what the city staff is actually working on it. Similarly, it's not fair to the JPA if what we're paying, we're not getting the same amount of service for. So I think about a year ago we asked about that, and we were going to look at it as as this time of year rolled around. So maybe for the next meeting, if you could have some figures put together on that, that'd be helpful. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jane, thank you. Is there any further public comment? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the May and June
So-
2017 payment register? It's been moved and seconded. Is there further comment? Call the roll.
Claire,
Yes.
Beitler,
Yes,
Eskridge.
Yes.
they are approved. Agenda item number 5 is review of both May and June again on the expenditure reports on the other side. Brandon?
So I think we went through the payment registers within there. You've got the expenditure reports before you. All of the expenditures from the registers are included in those reports. We're not seeing anything unusual in the budget at this time, and I think we've talked a little bit about the total occupation taxes year to date. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions? Is there public comment?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. So, it says here, West Haymarket revenue, and then surplus. So those are, different, they're both about 2 million.
Well, with what that means, when it says West Haymarket surplus, is that's the name of the functional business unit. So this is only an expenditure report. So there's no revenues, or we're not reporting kind of a net surplus from revenues to expenditures. Within this report, it's only the expenditure report.
Okay, so that's a constant figure then?
Yeah, that's part, that business unit is a budgeted figure.
Okay, so what is the revenue?
The total revenue,
I mean, what does that consist of? Like parking garages and,
it's going to consist of a lot of things: occupation taxes, parking, some revenues. I can't tell you all of them off the top of my head. Mark, am I? I mean, there's a lot of miscellaneous. We could send you a report that would possibly give more of a detailed line item, and also we could provide you with a budget report that shows.
so 2 million then about is left from the original money that they had, the JPA had?
No, I mean, this is an expenditure report, so when you see that line that says West Haymarket surplus,
Right.
that's not any type of money left over or anything. It's simply comparing the budget minus encumbrances and actual spent to give a year-to-date expense total.
So that's money spent then?
There is money spent included compared to the original budget.
Okay. So it's about 2 million also?
For that particular business unit, there's been about, I think that 2 million you're looking at is about 2 million in encumbrances and revisions on top of the original budget.
So there's actually more than that?
Yeah, in total in that business unit, there's about 9.3 million budgeted and about 6 million spent year to date.
Okay, 6 spent. So they have about 2-3 million left?
Yeah, there's approximately 3.1 million left within that business unit.
It's not a lot of money. They're gonna have to use the occupation tax.
Well, that's part of a revenue that's rolled into the total
Okay.
budget.
Okay. So, you can send me a report then if I
Uh-huh.
request it?
Yep.
Okay, I'll do that, thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Is there further public comment? Seeing none, is there a motion to, oh, we don't need a motion here, do we? All right, we'll skip down to agenda item number 6 at this time then. WH 1717, a resolution to approve an amendment to a certain consultant agreement. Frank Ularic is going to talk about this with us.
Thank you. Frank Ularic, Sustainability and Compliance Administrator for the city. This contract is a small amendment to Kennedy Jenks' initial authorization several months ago when we had them look at the pace of the cleanup. I felt that we weren't getting the recovery we'd like to see, and that could be an extended time of period unless we didn't take a look at options to more effectively and quickly clean up the petroleum around the 3 wells at Canopy Lofts area. They've since taken a look at it, made the recommendations for an accelerated pumping scheme for the next 6 months that they think will substantially decline and hopefully remove the free product that remains in the groundwater. It consists of manifolding all three of the wells together versus pumping singly to get a greater suck, so to speak, for an extended period of time. Clean up the wells so they produce a little better and get better flow. So improving the suck, that's what we're trying to do here. And I have
Thank you for that
great hopes for it.
graphic description.
It's an engineering term, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
The super sucker, you bet.
Any clarification required?
Well, not about the sucking. But the whole purpose of this is to expedite the removal of some remaining free product that's there, so that we can get the clean bill of health from EPA or whatever the environmental agency is that oversees this, to close it up and move on.
Strictly, yeah, with Nebraska DEQ, and we certainly feel, and DEQ more than likely agrees, that the small amount of free product that is there presents no threat to human health or environment. It's not going anywhere, but in Title 118 of the Groundwater Code, they have an obligation to do what we can to remove that final free product. I'd say this is our last strong thrust to get that done, and I'm sure we'll make some good headway and hopefully wrap it up in the next 6 months.
Great. And this money was budgeted for in the original environmental cleanup.
Right. And I believe the entire environmental budget is still within what we were allocated and predicted from the beginning, so.
Good.
Yeah. So several meetings back, we had a letter from DEQ about other areas that have been cleared. Is that?
Yeah, there's two parallel programs here. The petroleum program deals directly with the petroleum remediation section at DEQ, who oversees that portion of it. The remainder of the cleanup, I think what we were last here discussing, I think, was the institutional control and closure documentation for the Alter North property, as I recall. Soon, we've got the report into DEQ and EPA for Alter South. There'll be another round of approvals on institutional controls and closure documentation for that, and then we'll be done with the voluntary cleanup program, which is all the non-petroleum cleanup efforts. What will remain then is just hopefully this 6 months of pumping on the fuel around canopy lofts.
Excellent. Thanks.
Thank you, Frank. Is there public comment on this item?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. What was the previous amount that you asked for? I don't have my records here. Maybe you.
In this first Kennedy Jenks, it was just over 7,000 for them to do the analysis and the pump tests.
So did you expect that?
We anticipated they would come forth with a modification of the pumping scheme, you bet, and I believe when we last discussed that, I predicted that somewhere in this neighborhood of, potentially 20 to 30,000, and they're actually coming in under at 18.7 or so for this initiative.
Okay, but it'll be 25,000 that you'll be paying them out of these two.
Their total contract, will be in the neighborhood of 25,000.
25.6. And so they're telling you they can end it in 6 months?
Well, with petroleum remediation, you do your best. I mean, there's all types of factors that can come into play. Groundwater levels, level of precipitation. Sometimes when the water levels are high, it'll mask the petroleum that's there, and it's harder to recover. When the levels are low, the petroleum is more in a free form and can be recovered a little easier. But seasonal fluctuations can affect that, along with other soil characteristics. But it's can never be 100% assured. But we're doing what's the best management practice to proceed with on this little amount that's left. We certainly don't want to put in a $500,000 cleanup system that'll be very invasive and loud and an eyesore in the area. That's never been our intention.
So, 6 months, nothing. You'll have nothing. You won't be pumping, you won't be testing or anything.
That's our goal.
Okay. What are your expectations the same?
I'm hoping so. I'm trusting in the approach, and in a worst case scenario, we'll still have maybe a little bit of a residue, and DEQ will consider closure based on the efforts to date.
So DEQ differs from U.S. Geological Survey that says it's very hard to clean up plumes, diesel plumes.
Well, I would suspect the experts at DEQ are fully in alignment with
Like that?
USGS and EPA folks, you bet.
Okay. Who you work with at the DEQ?
In the petroleum remediation section, David Chambers is the lead. Michael Ponte is our project manager with DEQ, and Dale Bush is another
So
supervisor there.
could I speak to them?
You certainly
You
can.
think?
I'm
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Which one, Chambers, the one that, the head of it?
Michael Ponte is probably closest to the
Okay.
site issues.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Is there further public comment on agenda item number 6? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve WH 1717?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Further comment, gentlemen? Call the roll.
Claire,
Yes.
Beitler,
Yes.
Eskridge.
Yes.
The resolution is approved. Agenda item number 7 is Resolution 17-18 relating to construction design services, and Caleb Swanson is handling that.
Good afternoon, Caleb Swanson with PC Sports. The agreement before you today is, as you read, it's the design services for the final phase of the historical train canopy. If you'll remember back a few years during the height of the West Haymarket redevelopment, one of the projects that was worked on was the taking down, abatement, and reinstallation of the historical train canopy that runs along what is now Canopy Street. 2 sections of that canopy at Q Street and at R Street obviously were not reinstalled due to the fact that streets now pass through there where they didn't before. Those sections of canopy were saved at that time and treated for the lead paint and then stored off-site in anticipation of them going back in along Canopy Street south of O Street. They were not put in obviously at that time because development hadn't occurred yet on that block, and we wanted to protect that canopy and not have it potentially be damaged during construction. We wanted to make sure that it was configured correctly with whatever development might go in there. So now with it looking like development starting to proceed on that block, we're proceeding ahead again with the plan that's been there since the beginning to finish installing that canopy. So, any questions?
Caleb? Thank you, Caleb. Is there a public comment on this item?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Was this planned for
Yes.
before, and the amount of money
Mm-hmm. Yep.
planned for also?
There's always been the plan to finish installing this, and there is money still within the capital budget that's been held there for this purpose. Yes.
Okay, was it, does it match that? Is it more, is it less?
The amount for the design that we have right now fairly matches what we expected it to be.
Expected?
Mhm.
Okay, from the same people?
Yes, Sinclair Hilly did the design of the first couple segments of the canopy,
Okay.
and so for consistency's sake and for efficiency.
Then you'll have to pay construction people too?
Correct. This is only for the design. Mhm.
Do you have that in mind, or?
We also have money in the capital budget for construction. Obviously, we don't want to release those budget figures too early to tip off, what our expected costs are, but we are carrying costs for that as well, yeah.
Okay, do you have people in mind to do that, or companies?
No, that will probably be bid out, so.
Okay,
Mhm.
thanks.
Is there additional public comment on agenda item number 7? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve WH 17-18?
So move.
Been moved and seconded. Further comment? Okay, call the roll.
Claire,
Yes.
Beitler,
Yes.
Eskridge,
Yes.
Resolution has been approved. Agenda item number 8 is setting the next meeting date, which will be Thursday, August 24th of 2017 at 2:30 PM in the City County Building, Council Chambers, first floor, if that suits your purposes. You all right?
Yes, sir.
You all right?
That's good.
All right, we're good. That's when the next meeting will be. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Call the roll.
Claire,
Yes.
Beitler,
Yes.
Eskridge.
Yes.
Motion's approved and we are adjourned.